Okay, so today we're going to be talking about world-class frontline service. We're going to look through the 10 steps and understand why we do what we do when it comes to world-class frontline service. So a couple things we want to focus on is Aire Serv specifically wants to reach and provide premium HVAC comfort services to the residential and light commercial markets. So once you think about this, with all the thousands of different types of avenues that HVAC can be in, we just specifically want to focus in on the residential services, maintenance, and change-up market. Somebody asked me why, and get your thoughts behind that. What would be a reason we just want to focus on residential?
COD.
Okay, so you mean cash. We get paid right now, real time. We don't have to wait for net 45, net 90, whatever you got, right?
That's right.
What else? Any other thoughts?
There's a lot of residents in our area.
Okay, so every single commercial account we have has a residence attached to it. Interestingly enough, what have you seen when, say, somebody has one commercial account that does $500,000 of business with them, and then that account goes away? What happens to their company?
They start laying people off, go out of business.
Could fall apart completely, right? So we're talking about, you guys have heard about diversified portfolios. One of the most important concepts we can understand with a residential opportunity is that not only are we getting paid cash, we're getting that cash from 1,000 different little interactions and exchanges as opposed to one big one, that if that big one goes away, we're toast. Now, the last thought process behind residential, say, as opposed to really focusing on commercial or new construction or something else like that, there's one other thing that we're able to do, which is actually we're able to build value in a way that you can't with a commercial account. You're sitting there, we're talking Mike, the manager. He doesn't care that you're going to put on carpet protectors, that you're going to ask him questions about comfort, efficiency, reliability, and safety. All he wants is it fixed at the cheapest cost. Now, that's not to say we get out of commercial business altogether, but what it says is we're able to actually build value and an experience so that people are willing to pay us more based on that experience we create that's different, that's unique. We're going to see something in a second called enchanting. That's enchanting relative to anything else they've experienced. Only Mrs. Jones, only Mr. and Mrs. Jones in their home are willing to pay more for experience, cash, as opposed to a commercial account. And that's one of the reasons we focus on residential markets. So let's go on to talking about our customer. So who is our customer? And this is a little bit of research. We've done research recently, went through a rebranding, and we used to kind of have an idea about who our customer was, but now we're finding out a little bit more. We're finding out that on the whole, it's both the husband and the wife making the decisions. 45 to 64 years old, around $75,000 household income, might have pets, cats, dogs, kids, 10 years or older house. Now let me ask you this, is it possible you're going to come across people that are great customers of ours that don't fit inside this demographic? It's completely possible, right? So somebody would say, well, wait a minute, I can't show up and I'm not going to ask if they make $75,000, or I'm not going to show up and they might only have, a 9-year-old house. That's not why we do this. Why we do this is to isolate in on one customer that's our key, best customer, because when we go after that customer, we often get everybody else in conjunction with them. We'll kind of talk about the Mountain Dew thought process here. So everybody's heard of Mountain Dew, probably got a lot of guys drinking Mountain Dew. One of the thought processes behind Mountain Dew is this. Back in the 70s, Mountain Dew was around number 30 on all the soft drinks that were being consumed in the United States. Number 30. And I can't even think of, Fanta, RC Cola. There's so many other different things that were there before that Mountain Dew when it came to consumption in the U.S. And then they came across this concept that says, we're going to focus in on who our customer is. We don't want to reach everybody. Historically, they wanted everybody to drink Mountain Dew, which is kind of what we all say. But they say we want to focus in on who our customer is. And so you guys tell me, they came up with marketing campaigns. We've all seen them. Who's the type of customer that Mountain Dew is trying to reach?
I was going to say my teenage boy always wants to drink it.
Okay, so adventurous, skydiving, jumping out of an airplane while on fire, this type of person who really fits only like maybe 0.5% of the true population that lives in existence today. So they're going after that really very specific customer that almost nobody who actually drinks Mountain Dew is. But what's interesting is by focusing on that one person, they have now become the number 4 consumed soft drink in all the United States. So by narrowing in on who the customer is and defining that customer, they're catching all these other people by proxy, people who want to be young, people who want to have the attitude that jumping out of airplanes is cool or exciting, people who think, hey, by drinking this, I can be young again, whatever the reason. It wasn't when they were trying to reach everybody that they saw success. It was when they isolated it down to one person that they actually were able to grow in leaps and bounds by getting everybody else who was near that person, either in mindset or in mentality. So moving on, a couple of different thought processes. How many of you guys, when we talked about coming into a technician training, thought the key word you'd hear about was the word enchantment?
Not me.
Right? Okay, so really weird, and I feel weird even saying it. I'm sitting here, I talk to technicians all day long. Enchantment's a weird word, but it comes back from this Guy Kawasaki. There's a gentleman, his name was Guy Kawasaki, cool name, by the way, and he was the chief evangelist, cool title, of Apple. So everybody knows Apple. We've got our little Apple iPhones, iPads, all of the above. He was the chief evangelist, which means he told the good news of Apple. Now, the interesting thing that Guy Kawasaki said is what draws people to you, what draws people to us, and keeps them coming back is the word enchantment. When they're willing to pay more for something, it's because it enchants them. And so we take the concept of, let's just say, a local theme park or a local, you drive by one of those Ferris wheels with roller coaster rides that were built like 1905, and half of the fun of those things is whether or not you die. At the end of the day, that has thrills, it's got chills, it's got spills, it's got cotton candy, you name it, but your cost to do that is $30, $50, $100. As opposed to Disneyland, and I've had friends who go to Disneyland with their kids, and we're talking $12,000, $14,000 to spend on a 10-day or a 12-day trip to Disneyland. Now, if somebody just wants thrills, chills, spills, cotton candy, and all the above, they can get that exact same experience at this little sideshow park. But the reason they go, and not only go, but spend, and not only spend, but come back with pictures and with memories and with monumental moments about that experience is because of that enchantment that they felt going to this theme park. So it's really important what customers are loyal to. We know that they're loyal to consistency. It's got to be that same experience every time. But more than that, it's this enchantment that they feel it's worth more to me. I'm not just paying for a ride, I'm paying for an experience. And that gets us into this customer experience model that we talked about in one of our other sessions. So looking at that, as we look at the 10 steps, the challenge is now for us to become, I hate to say it, but let's just go there, enchanting. We're enchanting in a consistent way every single time, and that's what the 10 steps does for us. When we've got 10 steps that allows us to recreate that experience every single time, then we know if the experience is different on the end, it's typically because one of those steps in the middle was pulled out, just like a recipe. If for some reason you're making pancakes, you may make pancakes 10 days in a row, but on the 8th day, they're really flat. Typically it means that I pulled out the baking powder on that day when I was making pancakes. That's one of the cool things about our systems is those systems should create a definite outcome every single time. And when it's not, we're able to go back and see what actually happened in the process.